All right. What is going on, everybody, on YouTube? Griffin here, coming back to you guys with another live stream from the Millennial Motivation Entrepreneur YouTube channel. First and foremost, for those of you that will be tuning in to me, either live stream or after this video uploads for the first time, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button below if you're looking to join an awesome community and network with a bunch of like-minded individuals. We all have the same goal at the end of the day, which is achieving financial freedom by any means, legally, of course. We talk about trading, investing in the stock market, thrifting on Amazon, eBay, any side hustle, new business that you're looking to start up. We probably hit on almost every single thing here on this channel. Got about 300 videos and counting on here. I try to go live as often as possible, usually at least at the bare minimum twice, 3 times a week, but I try to do 7 days a week if at all possible, but usually on average at least about 3 a week, unless if I have something crazy happen. So we'd love to have you join our awesome community. And while you're at it, check out our Discord group chat. That's also down in the description box below. If you don't know what Discord is, which I know a lot of people don't, it's an app you can download on your Android, iPhone, any phone really that has an app store. And you can join through that link. It's super easy to sign up. They don't spam you or anything like that. I don't even think they ask for your email. So if you want to connect with me and about 45, 50 other people in that group, that's awesome as well. But before we get started, I'm just going to make sure that the stream looks like it's doing all right. Looks like we got 2 of you tuning in. And really quick, I'm going to take my dog's new bone from him. Sorry. Because I know you guys can probably hear that in the chat, and he's probably going to go right to the other one. But if he does, then I'll take that one too. He has a really annoying bone that he's just going to work at. But looks like the stream is doing all right. Check my streamer real quick. We have a green box, so we are good to go. So yeah, we're going to hit a couple topics really quickly, really briefly here tonight. We're going to obviously hit on oil, since that's one of my favorite subjects when it comes to investing in the stock market. And then we will also hit on Apple, AMD, a few other ones that I'm sure had earnings today, and what I kind of feel means for the overall market. Apple's, we'll just go ahead and start with Apple real quick because it was the one that I heard last. Apple's actually kind of outdid my expectations, in all honesty. I mean, obviously, it at the bell ended down just over 1%. But then obviously after hours, it shot up clear up to almost $165 at one point before settling around 163. So obviously it's going to open more than likely up unless if it gaps down some to like 160, or who knows, it could obviously fill that gap. But I don't believe it will, because overall, good sentiment out of Apple. There wasn't nothing that I heard that was really too negative, I would say. And their numbers, even though they barely squeaked by estimates, they weren't far off at all. Like, they were pretty much spot on their estimates. They did lower their guidance, I think, on, I forget what exactly, but one number was lowered a little bit that I heard people were kind of somewhat worrying about. But overall, I mean, the guidance was not bad. They did not do bad on the expectations or anything like that. So that is good news overall. The iPhone sales obviously probably aren't too much, but I was actually surprised how well the iPad did. The iPad outperformed pretty well. And I honestly did not expect that, because in my opinion, the iPad really hasn't changed in the last 10 years, probably 5 or 10 years. But I don't own one either, so who knows. But Apple, they did pretty well. I believe AMD reported as well. I didn't hear a lot out of theirs, but they did beat their, or no, they didn't beat their expectations. But if I remember right, due to Apple doing pretty well, it kind of helped propel AMD in the after hours as well. I did not hear the guidance or I didn't hear any call on that. But even CNBC, their article right here, when an earnings miss isn't really a miss. So I'm assuming that could be well for AMD. But other than that, I didn't really look at much of in terms of earnings today. AMD and Apple, those were the two I was following the most. And I've really been focusing on oil today. Oil kind of had a bouncy day overall. I'm going to go ahead and take that other bone from him really quickly. That up there as well. And we are back. Oil kind of had a choppy day overall today. Obviously, not a whole lot in the form of news necessarily, but just kind of a choppy day overall. And honestly, I expect that probably for the rest of this week. Originally, I wanted to see oil retest around 50 to 51. We got close to 51, but I honestly don't think that's it in terms of it dropping. I do think ultimately we are probably going to test the $50 range before going higher. We kind of seen when we look at our 180-day chart, zoom in right here, you can see we had the same choppy action before taking a leg down. Obviously, we took multiple legs down all the way to 42, but right around 50 was acting as a pretty strong support. So I think we're probably going to revisit, like I said, I think we're going to revisit right around $50 probably one more time, because I mean we really have only tested it once or twice ever since we started pulling out of this rut that oil was in. So I look for us to probably retest 50, 51 at the minimum, but between that $50 to $51. I know we had a couple of you that said maybe the 40s, but if it can touch right around 50, I'll probably hop into some Gush. And Gush actually surprised me today because it didn't really have a lot of movement today. We pulled up the one-day chart. I mean, actually, XOP from an actual numerical, like penny standpoint, outperformed Gush by a penny. Obviously, it doesn't matter in terms of actual percentage points. You can see it's still only up about 0.5%. But XOP and Gush, Gush specifically, it did not move quite as much as I expected with the move of oil. Oil at one point, obviously, it's always continuing, so you won't see. But you see oil at one point reached almost $54 today. And at that point, the highest Gush reached during that time was right around 11.35. I mean 11.25, 11.35, and it was having just quite a bit of trouble staying above 11.30 this morning, and then it really just struggled to even get back to 11.30 at that point. So that's telling me fundamentally there's something around that 11.30 mark that is acting somewhat as a support, as a resistance. So it'll be interesting to see tomorrow, overnight tonight and into tomorrow, what kind of happens with oil. I believe we have the report, on Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. So on inventory and whatnot. So the inventory is pretty much the main thing to watch this week, of course. But 11.30 is acting as at least for today, was acting as a pretty strong resistance. Obviously, if we go back and look at just the last couple days overall, obviously we came from 10.32 up to 11.08, which doesn't seem like a big move, but I mean, when you talk 10.36, say we came up to 11.32-ish, you're still talking almost a 10% move. So I mean, that's a pretty 9 to 10% is a pretty big move in a few days. However, yeah, you can see 11.30, 11.25 to 11.30 is going to be acting as a pretty strong resistance. We got above it briefly on, Friday, and then obviously, boom, we came back down yesterday, and then today we kind of had, honestly, for Gush, a pretty unch day overall, only up 1%. So when I was trying to just figure out how that was really corresponding with oil, because you can see oil had more of a jump today than Gush. Like, Gush didn't really have that huge leg up like oil did. So when I was sitting there trying to just look at it, I was like, okay, the only thing that I can make sense of by that is that you can see once again oil got rejected right around 53.90. So I don't know if because the weakness there might have caused Gush to not really do much, but that was this afternoon, like that, or no, that was actually, yeah, that was this morning. So maybe that could have been the cause for why Gush didn't move all that much. But overall, I was still pretty surprised because oil at one point was up like 3% or something like that, and usually that translates into Gush being up like 9 or 10%. I mean, usually when oil swings more than 1 or 2%, Gush is going to swing at the minimum usually 4 to 6%. Day like today, I expected it to move between 5 and 10%, and I was going to be kicking myself for not being able to get in. How's it going there, Troy? Use trade Gush, but now you trade UWT. Yeah, I heard some people trade that as well. Let's pull that up actually. So UWT, that's around 13.27. So you can see that one was up over 5.5% today, which is kind of what I thought would have happened with Gush. Let's look at the 180-day. So you can see it moves pretty damn similar to Gush. In all honesty, let's see, this is Citigroup Global Market Holdings. It's a 3 times ETN. So it's an ETN, not an ETF. Really not much of a difference, but there are some differences in that. if you want to, definitely look that up. But let's see here. So this one's also had a resistance right around 1350, I would say. Let's look at the 1 day and see if it touched 1350 today. So yeah, you see it got above 1350, bam, came back down, tried to hold it as support, came down and didn't even get back above it for the rest of the day. So kind of again falling in that same line as oil, which tried to break up close to 54, got rejected, held the 53.50, and then bam, got below it, and then didn't really touch it the rest of the day. Now, right now, oil's down about 0.25%. Obviously, it's super early, after hours trading or whatever. But let me see. Seems like UWT and DWT move closer to oil futures. Yeah, let's take a look. Let me pull up just today. So that's 4/CL. Let's look at UWT. It does move pretty close as to where Gush today was kind of scrambled for some. Usually, I mean, let's take a look at it again. Yeah, there's some differences with yeah, Gush can definitely be a little bit more scrambled than UWT. So I mean, yeah, that's another one you could definitely consider playing. I'll probably go ahead and add it. And you said DWT as well. Let's see, this is also a Citigroup. Okay, so it's the inverse ETN, I'm assuming. Yeah, inverse leverage. Okay. I'm actually going to add these to my watch list just so I can have them there, because those could be actually good ones to trade in the future. And I'd heard of UWT before, but I never really looked into it. So let me make sure they're added here. DWT and UWT. So yeah, that's another one I'm probably going to be watching, UWT as well as Gush. I do like the fact that UWT follows a lot closer. I mean, obviously it's never going to be 100% perfect, but you can see, I mean, it's following pretty damn close. 1 hour chart tells all, in my opinion. Let's see, this is UWT already, right? Okay, so yeah, I mean, they're moving pretty damn close compared to, let's look at that's Gush right there, UWT, and then /CL. So I mean, in my opinion, yeah, UWT definitely follows it a little bit closer, because let's see, obviously there's like no kind of very little after hours trading. It probably closes what at 6:30 or does this actually close at 7 too, or does it? Let's see what time this closed. 7. Okay. Where Gush, if I remember right, Gush is done always at like 4 o'clock or 5. I don't know. Does Gush actually go all the way until 7 too? Okay, apparently it does, but there's usually very little movement within Gush after hours. Doesn't really matter. I don't really do the after hours trading anyways. But yeah, I definitely like UWT too. But UWT, Gush, whichever. XOP as well. XOP is another one you can trade, of course. XOP and Gush, they pretty much go hand in hand with one another. I mean, their charts are pretty much always identical. But yeah, I'll have to kind of watch UWT too over the next kind of week or so, few days at the minimum, and see how I like it. Because if it's a little bit more consistent compared to Gush, like I said, I kind of expected Gush to kind of move up more today. I expected this number out of Gush, essentially. It was kind of like a, like I said, 5 to 6% minimum move. Since oil was up like 2% or something to end the day, 2 to 3%, I don't remember exactly, but right around there. But overall with oil, like I said, I'm just focused on the next probably 48 hours, and overall I do believe it's going to continue to be choppy. I think we're kind of gonna be, let's see, this is our 20 day, okay, our 20-day chart. I mean, you can see we've gotten above 53.50, and then we come back below it all the way as low as around 50.50. So I would really like to see us test at the minimum 50.50 again this week. And then if we can hold that, then I'm definitely going to jump in, be it Gush, UWT, maybe both, who knows. Oh, you sold out of UWT today. So, yeah. And you're looking at DWT, which would be the inverse. Yeah, I mean, because like me, I'm looking at getting into oil as like a long-term play for now. I'm not looking at necessarily like the whole day trading or even swing trading yet. Because right now I'm focused on just piling up the money, piling up the money, piling up the money until I get my accounts and whatnot to a point where I can definitely live comfortably off of that money. I don't want to be risking a lot and losing much money, if any money to be exact. So like with oil, essentially, I'm bullish on oil. I think long term we're going to retest at least $60 to $65. Obviously, we're going to have some trouble right around 55, but I think once we break through 55, we're definitely going on up to 60, 65. So I'm pretty much just kind of being picky right now because I saw, obviously, when we look at our 180-day chart on oil, didn't mean to zoom like that. Go ahead and just do this right here. You can see we were choppy also between 50 and $54 right before we took our big leg down. Do I think that's going to happen again? No. Not necessarily. I know last night we kind of talked about there could be a possibility of a big double bottom. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, in all honesty. I look for us to maybe retrace. Like I said, I want to see us test right around $50 one more time. And then ultimately, if I can get in between $50 and $51, I'm definitely going to get in. And I'm planning on holding UWT, Gush. I'll probably end up buying some of both, in all honesty, once I look at UWT for a little bit. But either way, I plan on holding these all the way through, probably at the minimum early summer months, May, June, July, once we really get into travel season, summer vacation season. I think oil is definitely going to go up. Some people are saying 70 to 75 again. I'm not really that bullish on oil. I think overall oil is probably going to continue to long-term trend down, in all honesty, throughout until the next election in the coming, year and a half or so. But I do think, in all honesty, we're going to test 60 to 65 at the minimum. That's like being a little bit on the bear side, and that's at us getting rejected right around $65. I'd love to see 50 again. Yeah, and I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities, but in all honesty, if it can, I do think we're going to get around 51, in all honesty. Like, looking at our 20-day chart, I mean, you can see here we kind of built a little support right around 51. So, I mean, maybe even slightly higher. You can raise and say like 51.25. So, in all honesty, if oil can drop about $2, which we definitely know it can. I mean, $2 from right now, we're right around 53.24. So, I mean, if we dropped to 51.25, that would be roughly a 3 to 4% drop. I mean, that can definitely happen. We've seen that happen in less than a day. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen in less than a day. But point being, I definitely think I can get in when oil's around $51, 50 to 51. And if or when that can happen, it's almost guaranteed we're going to get 51 at least. But when 50 to 51 oil, the price of oil reaches that, when the price of oil reaches 50 to 51, right around there, I'm definitely going to hop in, because what's that going to mean for, let's say, UWT? Let's go with that some more, for example. That means I'm probably going to get into UWT somewhere around, what would you say, $12.25, so $1 less. And a lot of people are like, well, it's just $1. Never, ever, ever think of money as just $1, guys, especially when you're investing. Like, this is not just one. This isn't just 2 minus 1. I mean, this is like actual, you're talking a huge difference here. If you can get in this around, let's say, 12.36, you're talking a 7% gain on your money. 7% on $1,000 is going to be, what, $70? 7% on $100 is $7. 7% on $1 million is what would that be, like 70 grand or something like that? Or 7 grand, 70 grand, I don't know. Add a zero, take a zero away, whatever. I mean, it can add up quick. So don't ever think of, oh, it's just $1. Oh, it's just 10 cents. Oh, it's only 20 cents. Like, I mean, whenever you're talking, these are only $5 to $15 at this point, because they're starting to inverse ETNs and ETFs. So definitely do not take it lightly. And then what am I going to do whenever oil finally starts to reverse later on this fall? I'll hop over to what he just called out, DWT, because I know more than likely by looking at our 1 year chart, I know this is probably going to approach $5 to $6 at the minimum. So when this comes down to $5 or $6, or who knows if it has a vertical, or what they call it, a split. Well, if it has a split for some reason, I don't think that'll happen. But if it has a split, then obviously the price changes. But as of now, I would look to enter this again somewhere around $5 or $6 later on this fall. Because I mean, you can literally just say you hop into UWT right now. Say it approaches, which I think it's definitely going to. Say this approaches $30. Say I got in at let's just say I got in at $12.66, which is not where I'm going to get in, by the way. But say I did. Say it only came up to, let's just even say $28. I just made 123% on my money. And then say I hop over to DWT in the fall, or whenever this reverse happens again. Say I get in around, I don't know, let's just say 626, 625, and say I ride it back up to probably around 12 something. I just made another like 100%. So I just keep doubling my money, doubling to tripling my money over and over and over. Long term, at least from a trading perspective, very long term. I mean, you're talking holding stuff for a few months at a time, or even up to half a year to a year at a time. But I mean, why would I complain about doubling my money every single year? If I could double my money every year, I'd be happy. If I could double my money 2 or 3 times a year, I'd be even happier. So it's just all about being patient. It can be hard, especially whenever you have a rough patch or something happen with like oil inventories, or some kind of news come out that goes against, if you're hoping oil goes up or you're hoping oil goes down. But it's just all about, just look at the long-term charts, look at what's happening, and then just make a move from there. And I mean, look at that one. Look at the 1 day chart. It's showing that it shows that we're definitely getting ready to start taking an upswing before long. Same thing with Gush. And then when we look at DRIP, or hold on, DWT is actually showing some signs of possible buying power. But you never want to focus solely on those indicators, of course. When we go look at oil, we can see oil is still showing signs that it's getting ready to possibly keep moving up. RSI is not heavy either. I mean, 56 is by no means, it's not even close to overbought or anything yet. So, but that is also why at the same time I think we're going to retrace to around 50, is when I do look at the indicators. Obviously MACD is kind of showing oil could definitely pull back some. So I would not, again, I'm not going to be surprised at all if we pull back, if or when we pull back to $50. It's definitely going to be an amazing entry point, because then when you go over to Gush, I'm looking at, again, like I said, I want to get in that under $10. Say I got in at $9.41, and say I ride it up to the first resistance of $20 to $21. Again, you're talking 120% return. If you ride it up to where I really think it's going to go, which is about $30, you're talking 200% return on your money at that point. So amazing risk versus reward, in my opinion. And the only way this doesn't happen with Gush or UWT is if we just see a collapse in oil that we haven't seen in a few years now. I mean, we go all the way back to 3 years. You can see that ultimate support's right around $42 to $43. Last time we came below that was when we went all the way down to 26 back in 2016. So we're talking, I mean, 3 years ago, essentially, since we've seen anything below $42, essentially. Exactly, because, I mean, it set up perfectly. Oil was dropping like a rock. Everybody was going nuts. And I seen this chart. I wasn't actively investing or anything at this time. I wish I was. But I saw this chart, and I was like, it held the ultimate support. Ultimate support's right around, honestly, actually around 41.50. I mean, we only came down to what? We only came down to 42.36. So, I mean, the support held majorly. When you just pull back and look at overall like 3 year, 5 year graph, I was like, there's nothing really to be worried about with oil right now. If anything, this is amazing buying opportunity, amazing time to go on vacations. You're saving on gas. I mean, no one should be freaking out, but of course, talking heads on the news and whatnot are freaking out, saying that it's hurting the economy, all this BS that we all know that they're always talking out of their ass. But definitely was an amazing buying opportunity. I don't know if Josh is in here, but if I remember right, Josh, his brother, if I remember right, had bought some Gush right around, it was Gush or Drip. He had bought it at like $7 or $8. I don't know if he's in here right now, but if I remember right, someone got Gush around $7, and I'm wondering if they sold whenever Gush hit $12, $13 recently, because I know I honestly would have. Once Gush hit 12, I probably would have sold, just because, I mean, you're talking almost doubling your money already at that point. But yeah, I mean, I definitely love oil right now. I'm liking it big time. I like it a lot more than natural gas. I like it more than stocks. Stocks are so shaky right now that it's just, I mean, the fact that we're literally focusing on just earnings. I mean, obviously we focus on earnings all the time, but I mean, I've never heard people like so stressed out over earnings, guidance, breaking down earnings, like metrics by metric. Like, I just wouldn't want to be in stocks right now. I just wouldn't want to be. I mean, still look at Apple overall. I mean, it's just the last 20 days, it's had such a wide range. I mean, we go and look at our 1-year chart, it still looks hideous. It's going to have a major resistance either way. FYI, I don't know if you guys noticed after hours, this thing tried to push up to 162 and got rejected really hard. You can see it had actually pushed. I didn't even notice it hopped up to like 164, but early on it had gotten rejected hard. Right before I saw this, it got rejected. It did come up though, so this is gonna be interesting to watch. I missed this actually. I should have mentioned this earlier. It's going to be interesting to see now if this can hold above, what I said, like 162 or 163, because you can see right around there, right around 162, 163, somewhere in there, had been a pretty major support. We broke it. We came obviously all the way down to 142. We did get above it. Looks like right now Apple's at like 164 or something like that per share, roughly. So tomorrow's going to be pretty interesting to see if it actually holds that or if it comes back down off of that high. But gone to AMD. Yeah, AMD was actually doing pretty well too. I saw it was over $20 a share after hours with their earnings report. It's at 21.04. So as long as it can hold by the bell, I would honestly, there's no way I'd want to hold any stock multiple like swing trade. There's just no way I could swing trade right now. Stocks now, Gush, stuff like that, swing trade long term for sure, as long as you know what you're doing. But when it comes to stocks, I would strictly be day trading. Like, I'd be so terrified to hold anything after hours unless if I had after hours trading available. There's just no way. But I mean, good call on that, because AMD, I would not be surprised if early on this might raise even to like $22 or more early on, because you'll have everybody coming in that saw that earnings. However, look at that. We're approaching a pretty strong resistance right around 21. So be careful either way. This could easily also try to pop and double top right around 22, like I mentioned just a second ago. So either way, you're going to have some pretty good profit. You bought in around 1851, you said. If we can get all the way down to 1851, roughly. Let's just settle with 1850. Say you got to sell tomorrow morning at $21, you'd make 13% overnight. And I honestly think this is going to try to push up to at least 2150. So I mean, you're talking 16-17% on your money. So that's awesome stuff, dude. Also, you'll say stop in the morning. Yeah. So right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think honestly, Apple helped them out big time. That's also why I think this might continue to rise early on. If Apple looks pretty strong in the pre-market tomorrow morning, I'm assuming AMD will pretty much trade right along with it in the morning. But that'll be interesting to see overall, because I do think this is probably going to try to hit between 21. I mean, obviously it's at 21 now, but in between 21 and 22. But I would not risk for sure. You're saying you're setting a stop loss or whatever, but I would not hold out to 22, because it could obviously reverse at any second. But I have been surprised how strong AMD has been over the last almost 6 months, really. I was calling for this thing to come back down. Once we saw it leg all the way down to 16, I was like, here we go. It's about to drop back under $10 again and go back to a cheap stock. But it hasn't. It's held up pretty well. However, $16, I believe, right around 16 to 16.50 is definitely going to be AMD's make or break point long term. But that'll be interesting to see what happens with that one in the morning. I'll be keeping that one in mind for sure. Good luck on that one. But yeah, what's oil looking like right now? Still around unch. It's down about 0.1%. Nothing major. Oil markets, from what I've noticed, the evening session, they don't really move a god awful lot. Sometimes 0.25%. Unless if there's like some news that happens or something. Tends to just be kind of wiggle early on. Pre-market is where you really start to see your move with oil. But make sure our stream's still doing good. We got 2 of you still tuning in. Wow, we've been on half an hour already, which means my fiance is going to be getting home soon with our dinner. So I better be going ahead and wrapping this up and hopping off here in just a second. So hopefully you guys have had a good start to your week so far. Tomorrow is Wednesday already. Hopefully you guys continue to stay green this week in Troy's case. And hopefully you guys did like the stream, enjoyed the stream. If you did, definitely make sure to smash that like button. I greatly appreciate that. Definitely feel free to share it with any friends, coworkers, family, anybody that's looking to achieve financial freedom, learn more about the stock market, side hustles in general, learn how to sell on Amazon, eBay, anything like that. Awesome, yeah, and by the way, I never mentioned this. Anyone that's like subscribing, definitely hit that bell icon too. I always forget about the bell icon. You'll be notified right away whenever we go live. I upload a video, anything like that. But yeah, if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing that as well and checking out our totally free Discord group chat. Like I mentioned, that's down in the description box. It's the easiest way to get a hold of me, and we've got about 50 members in there now. So it's awesome to just communicate with a bunch of like-minded individuals. Like Grant Cardone always says, your net worth is your network, and that's what I'm trying to do, is just build an awesome network of a bunch of like-minded individuals here. So hopefully you guys did enjoy the stream. Hopefully you guys do have a good rest of your night. I appreciate all of you that tune into this video. But until next time, guys, keep on going out there making those profits, covering your profits, and achieving your financial freedom this year. And I'll see you guys possibly tomorrow, but for sure, like I said, we'll just see. But for sure, sometime again this week. Take it easy, guys.